Okay, I think we should be live. Welcome back, everybody, to I guess this is now the third Splinterlands SPS DAOn Hall. This week we're going to have some interesting topics to discuss. Let's see. I think we may have Zaku joining us here in a bit. Yeah, if Zaku is here or Zaku shows up, just send a request and we will get you on stage. Okay, yeah, and also, other people are more than welcome to request to speak on stage too. Let's see. So this week we currently have two ongoing votes. The first one is to rework the brawls. Yeah, sorry, it's a lot of messages coming in. Let's see. Yeah, if anybody would like to join, just raise your hand and I will bring you on. So currently this week, like I said, we have the adjusting brawls. That one still has about 4 days left, and it looks like the proposal to actually contract with Crypto.com is most likely going to pass. It is still at 80.8% with only 21 hours remaining. Bjangles, it should be running. If you can check, that would be cool. Last week we had some problems where like it was streaming, but it wasn't broadcasting. But I did my best this week where I think it should not have that problem. Okay, yeah, I don't broadcast to the main Splinterlands channel. I broadcast to the SPS DAO channel. I do not actually work for the company anymore. I work for the DAO. And part of that is we got to set up our own SPS DAO social media accounts, and we have our own YouTube channel now. And going forward, that is where we will be streaming. Okay, yeah, sorry guys. I haven't been doing streaming for a while. I used to use OBS a lot, and kind of getting back into the I guess like the swing of things here. But yeah, it looks like everything should be up and running, I believe, and it looks like the YouTube should be running. But if it's not, just let me know. Okay, so what do we want to talk about this week? Let's see. Currently, we have a lot of ongoing discussion about how to reform tournaments, and basically want to rework some of the, I guess, like the overall structure to accommodate the new Rebellion set. This is the first time we're having a new set come into Modern, so like there's some questions there about how we want to, handle things. And currently, like what I did is just essentially kept the entire like same format as what we did have. But we also had Land 1.5 come out last month, so we're essentially we're looking at a situation where a lot of the older cards, like Alpha, Beta, even Untamed, are all going to land, and there's basically like less of a card pool that is available to even play a lot of these older tournaments. So we're kind of like having open discussions about how to essentially approach this situation. And basically, like what we're currently thinking is we're still going to have Rebellion only tournaments, and then what we'll have is Modern, Wild, and classic is what we're looking at. Where classic is essentially like wild without modern. It would basically just be alpha, beta, untamed. You know, like that actually like raises some questions in my mind of like, well, what, you know, how does this work when the next set comes out? Um, yeah, do you not hear me, Azarkan? Hmm. Wow. Okay, how about now? Can anybody hear me? Wow. Okay. Yeah. I don't know what was happening there, but hopefully at least the YouTube was picking all of that up. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Like I said, I'm a little bit out of practice with the whole like live streaming thing, but you know, I'm picking it back up hopefully. So we should be live on YouTube. It should be recording, and I've basically been mainly talking about the ongoing votes that we're currently having, which there is currently the Brawl rewards rework that is up, and there is also the proposal for hiring Flowdesk to be the market maker for Crypto.com, and it looks like currently both of those are passing. So Neoxian, the it's just SPS DAO. That is the YouTube channel. And the next thing that I was talking about, yeah. So the next thing that I was talking about is currently there's a lot of discussions going on about the like how we're gonna try to rework tournament rewards. You know, we're in kind of like a little bit of a weird situation since this is the first time that we're having like a new set come in and modern get adjusted. It looks like, you know, so far that there's demand to keep the, you know, essentially like the current set, you know, so Rebellion to have its own specific tournaments. And what we've been trying to like work through and figure out like what a good rewards breakdown is, you know, with the introduction of land, we're also kind of like at a point where we have to consider how do we approach tournaments with the older cards, right? Because when I was looking earlier, I want to say like alpha tournaments, especially like the alpha gold foil was down at least 50%, just like as far as like entries go. And you know, I've got to like do some analysis on a lot of them, but currently what we're thinking is we'll have rebellion tournaments, and then we'll have modern, and then we'll have wild, and then we'll have classic, where classic is essentially wild but without the modern cards. So what we would have is like a alpha beta untamed only, and I think that like if we do that, there may be more cards to pull together and actually, you know, create these tournaments. But we'll have to see. We're gonna have to like kind of like monitor it and run the numbers and just see like what makes sense, what doesn't. But I'm currently, you know, like if you guys want to get involved, there is a ongoing thread where we're, you know, kind of like taking opinions. I have a poll going to try to figure out like how we want to do rewards, right? Like I know I want to say it was a Weird Beard that kind of started this whole mentality of basically joining tournaments and like guaranteed getting your entry fee back. And you know, I kind of like I get the mentality behind it, but I also I think like what we've seen in practice is that a lot of times this just encourages more poor behavior. You know, where you have people just like entering tournaments that have like either no chance to win or people like running multiple accounts in tournaments. Like one of the biggest problems that I've had for a long time is that this is something that like I brought up as an employee multiple times. Is like you could look back at the old alpha gold foil tournaments, and you would have people splitting like their decks basically along multiple accounts to try to essentially like double the amount of prizes they're getting. Or worst case, like there's like one of the last ones that I pulled the stats on. I want to say there was 4 or 5 people that like they essentially just did win trading to get one win. They were running like they weren't even running like leveled cards. It was just like whatever the cheapest you can rent is, just to try to like get some of the basically like the free SPS on a win trade. There was like I think it was 5 accounts that had one win, and like you could go look at their battles. Like I linked some of them at the top of that tournament thread that we were discussing. And yeah, it's just it's it's not competitive, and like to me, it's essentially like we're just printing SPS inflation. But like, is there even like a tournament there? I think these are like a lot of things that we have to kind of like look at and address. Let's see. Yeah, Azure, kind of, if you want to come on, just do a request, and I will bring you on. Let's see. Okay, hopefully that worked. Let's see. But yeah, so like I said, that's kind of like our big ongoing discussion. There's also, I believe it was Silence that has a another one of like the popular threads going at the moment that is a discussion about whether or not we should try to do a proposal to implement league locks. I'm not 100% sold on it, and it looks like there's a lot of back and forth. But yeah, like these are the two, I guess, like hot button issues. If you guys want to get involved, welcome, Azerkan.
Hey, can you hear me, Clay?
Yeah, how's it going?
All good. Yeah. Thanks for taking the time to do this again. As these are not easy to do. I mean, even if you have many other things to do. So let's jump in about the two items that you mentioned. One is the tournaments, and I think you have a pretty good spreadsheet or image in that thread that you created. I like it. It is much better than what we have currently, and I think most people like it at this point. And I don't know. Do you need to forward it as a proposal?
So one of the problems that I've really had with tournaments since the beginning, especially since we moved to paying out rewards with SPS, is that there was like never at any point did we basically apportion like these tournament rewards, right? Like it was just kind of, like they were put together, and I don't think like anything was necessarily like wrong per se. I feel like in my opinion, like if we're giving out these rewards, if it's part of inflation, like we should at some point like vote and approve how we want to do it. And like to me, that's always been the biggest problem is there was never any like DAO vote on how we want to handle it. So it's something that I've been spending a lot of hours on, just like building out spreadsheets, kind of like working on how like I think I could see this working better, and getting feedback from some of the people that do play a lot of tournaments. Like I said, like one of the reasons like I stopped playing tournaments. I used to play tournaments a lot. It's just like whenever I became an employee of the company, I didn't like a lot of the things, right? Like I don't like how the gold foil alpha tournaments look, for example. Like I think the optics on that are really terrible when there's people like splitting decks and just trying to like get multiple places of rewards. I felt like there was a lot of things that we could be doing better with tournaments, but we had people that kind of like picked up that torch and ran with it, and I think there was a lot of good changes, right? Like I think there was a lot of good like feedback and getting people's opinions, and then kind of like changing up tournaments. But again, I still think at some point, like we have to build out a framework and get approval for the votes, and that's kind of like what I'm working on right now. So yeah, like I
Yeah.
plan.
So
Yeah,
Uh, sorry to cut you a little bit, but I thought the system that you have is a very long thread of discussion, and anybody who wants to participate, can jump into that discussion. But it's going on for several days, and I think after all the feedback, the image that I posted, it is pinned over there as well. This is what you came up with, and I'm just going to say that this is much better than what we currently have. And as you explained very clearly, the current system do not work, and the land is already released. So essentially, we have to forward this in some form or the other. And if this is what most people agreed on, let's forward this and let's get a vote on it and then get it done. Because, I mean, even if you forward it today, it is at least 14 days from implementation, right? So, and in the meanwhile, we are paying SPS reward on those tournaments that make no sense. So, the other thing I'm going to suggest, if that is possible at all, you can stop those tournaments now until we actually implement this. And I'm curious what you think about that.
yeah. So what I did was basically I made like enough tournaments to go through the beginning of January, and I haven't made any more yet. And that was mainly because I wanted to take the time to figure this out. So I think like the sheet that you shared there, it seems to be like most of us are in agreement on that. So currently, like what I'm doing is I'm taking a poll, and this is the thing that I would really like feedback on is I'm trying to figure out how we want to structure the rewards, right? Like there are a lot of people that really like the just everybody joins, gets their entry fee back if they win one battle or get a draw, and then like a lot of participation prizes, right? And I mean, look, like if that's what people want, like I'll build what people want. I'm more of the like I would rather have like 64 places instead of 256 places, right? Like if there's 64 prizes, like, are we still gonna see people like doing really stupid multi-accounting where there's like one summoner, one card, and they're just gonna, basically try to flood so many accounts in there that they can, either get a draw or a win? I think that's kind of like the current mentality we see. Like, yeah, I know that on the lower end, like for novice and bronze, having like those guaranteed entry fees back makes it a lot more appealing to the newer players. But I think especially whenever we're getting into like gold foil diamond tournaments and stuff like that, it's just like there's not enough people entering for that to make sense. So like what actually happens in actuality? You join, and like let's say there's a prize pool that pays out to 256 places, and let's say like let's say like 80 people join. Everything below those 80 places or however many that pay out is just getting refunded right back to the tournament creator. So it's not like they're getting paid out anyway. But yeah, like I feel like we could structure these better to where they're more competitive. We can hopefully disincentivize some of the multi-accounting that's going on, and just be better stewards of how we're distributing SPS. Like I just like to me that's the big thing. It's like we have to be responsible with how we're printing this inflation, and just because like some people enjoy finding interesting ways to capitalize on that doesn't mean we have to keep encouraging it.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, um, again, anything you do at this point to the current tournament structure is an improvement. So that's what I that's my point of view. I don't play a lot of tournaments. My scholars do play tournaments, but even they play like two or three. main tournaments. So basically, the sooner you can implement this, better it is, because we do not want to waste SPS on inflation. So that must stop.
Yeah, so like I said, if you guys can just go join that thread, I'll share it in the chat. There's an ongoing poll that is pinned. Please only vote for one selection. I need to get as much feedback there as possible. And to answer Icy Flow's question, live tournaments are not going to be happening for the foreseeable future. Apparently, they are broken. Like I got told by multiple people that they have issues where like they can get hung up and like the whole tournament will freeze, and apparently like there's things that people can do to like intentionally hang them up and just break the tournament. So for the time being, I don't think it's going to be happening. But yeah, just FYI, it's not like I didn't hear that like you and some other people wanted them, but I think it's more of a liability than anything at this point.
Okay, so with that said, I mean, unless you have anything more to add, I'd like to talk about the other proposal that is active right now. That's the Brawl proposal. Is that all right?
Yeah, go ahead. Did you make up your mind?
Yes, I did, and I will tell you about it. So, and this is the proposal number 60, which is currently active for um, those that are interested. So I have just said no to this proposal, and I will tell you why we did this. And this is a joint decision. I do not have any strong opinion about it, but we had some discussion at the guild level, at our guild level, and you'll see the top three votes: Baptist, Brave Tofu, and myself. We just downvoted this proposal a few minutes ago, and the reasoning is quite simple. We had a discussion and we saw there is an alternative that is published recently, and we like that alternative better. And it's this one that I am posting. Um, that is, it's not really a proposal yet, but it's in a discussion phase. But that's the primary reason we voted against it. I am not that much involved in day-to-day guild and brawl activities, but there are several people in our guild, like Brave, like Lewis. They are very involved in brawl, and they all read into this other proposal by Khazrak,
So
and
so do you know
they
what the difference
said,
is?
yeah, it's the difference is it's more specific. That's what they're telling.
So here,
So
I'll
it's
tell
a
you
it,
I'll tell you exactly what the difference is, because like we were like Kazrak was actually involved in discussions. Basically, we brought Cryptomancer in to get feedback, and his feedback was that the one thing that's different in Kazrak's proposal versus the one that we did run is that in Kazrak's proposal he wants to count empty phrase as basically like losses. Like if you enter, like if you're your guild, right? Like say you enter a brawl, but you don't have enough people to fill all the phrase. Basically, like your empty phrase would count as losses if another guild filled that fray. But the only way it won't count as a loss is if both people don't fill the fray or something like that. But like the main problem we had was Cryptomancer said that that would require like a pretty intense rework of how scoring works, whereas everything else in the proposal, which is basically identical, right? Like it's
mhm,
the same except for that one thing, could be done in short order.
mhm,
So like the whole thing is like we're all in agreement that Kazrax is the way to go, but like
mhm.
here's the thing: do you want to have 90% of the problems with brawls get fixed in the next month or two, versus waiting for this entire like rework that could take several months when we could just pass 90% of it now and then do, like a separate proposal to address counting the empty phrase. Like that's quite literally the only difference in these two proposals. I just want to make sure like you're aware of that, because like we're all on the same page that Kazrak's proposal is where we're headed.
Well,
What,
he's riding. He's riding. Let's see what he says about that. Or he can come online and talk about it. That's probably
yeah,
easier.
yeah.
Kazrak,
Kazrak, if you want
you
to
want to
join
come
in,
in
let's see.
if he has
He's saying
microphone?
that there's something with the way rewards are distributed is changing. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that because like whenever I read the draft or whatever was first, it looked like it was pretty much the exact same thing. Just we're not trying to address the empty phrase in the same proposal because I don't want to. Basically, I didn't want to create a situation where we can't get the bulk of the problems fixed because we're waiting for, essentially like Cryptomancer to get time or get clearance from the team to basically rework brawls. So it's like if we can fix most of the economic issues and then worry about like the more intense coding changes later, I think I wouldn't want to delay, right? And I know one of the things Kazark was saying was that we could essentially that we could create a proposal with like multiple like steps, and again, I've said this plenty of times. I think. Fat Jimmy is actually discovering this right now because he had a draft with like universal support, and then he tried to add in one more thing, and it turned into like a whole like mudslinging fight for like multiple days now.
Yeah. So looks like he wants to come in. So, Kazrak, you just have to raise your hand in the main stage. I think that's the way it works. And Luis is also typing. So, Luis, if you want to make a comment, that's fine too. Yeah, looks like Kazrak is in. You have to unmute yourself.
Lewis is not allowed to type. No typing, Lewis. I'm just kidding. You can type, Lewis.
So, can you guys hear me?
Hey, how's it
Yes.
going?
Alright, great. Hi guys. First of all, sorry for my English, it's really shit, but it should work for now. So, yeah, what Claypoint said is basically on point. So, the proposal by Schach Oberhessen is part of what I'm proposing, more or less at least. So, we would also change the way the rewards are distributed, so there would be more rewards to guilds that win about half of their matches, and less extra rewards on top, and also very low rewards if you don't win any or just a few of your battles. I did talk to Cryptomancer about that a few days ago, and he generally did like it, but like Clay already said, it would be quite some work to get everything set up. And he also indicated that he wanted to have Matt on board, so Matt would have to look at the numbers and decide how it's going in the end. So, yeah, I mean, we can, in my point of view at least, we can pass the proposal from Schach Oberhessen and get that part implemented. And I'd still put up my proposal afterwards so that we can discuss it and vote on it. But yeah, it would take, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 months maybe until it would really get implemented, simply because it would need work from Cryptomancer, and Matt would have to look at it as well. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I didn't like the way the proposal was set up. It was too vague for my liking. I'm not exactly sure still what it's doing and what it's not doing, but that's another discussion. So all things considered, I am voting for the proposal by Schach Oberhessen, and I think it's a good first step to do it.
So
Okay.
basically like what the current proposal is aiming to do is to like basically get rid of this essentially whenever you finish in the top three, and like I'm actually in my second guild that takes advantage of this, and like I never like I'm kind of like slightly ashamed to admit this. I never really took the time to dive into why we do this, but basically the top three spots, you don't just get more rewards, right? Like essentially, you get more rewards for winning the top three spots, but then you also get like an additional bonus on top of that, which creates like a further divide, right? And well, basically, I had Dave like breaking this down to me of like what the biggest problem with this is essentially what you do is like the guilds that are sitting at the top of tier 4 and the guilds that are sitting at the top of tier 3, they basically just park a tier lower than they can actually play at, because you get more crowns and merits sitting at the top of the lower tier below you than you do for playing in the competitive tier where your guild is actually qualified to play at. So like, while it may be like, okay, so like what's the big deal, you're just taking advantage of the way the system works. um, Basically, if you think about it like this, whenever you're sitting at the top of that lower tier, you're pushing down all the other guilds that should be playing in that tier, and you're just basically creating this rift that is constantly like making your guild stronger while keeping the guilds that should be playing and competing in that tier lower. So they can't get enough crowns to upgrade their own guild. So it kind of like creates a non-competitive scenario where you're just essentially camping on the guilds below you and also like suppressing them. So it's not like they can really fairly compete because they're getting less crowns, they're getting less merits, and it's like this problem keeps compounding every like every brawl. There's more crowns and merits going to the same top guilds that should already be advancing. Like I think some people were thinking that this was more about like the SPS earnings and stuff, but that really has like nothing to do with it. And that's one of the reasons why we ended up adjusting the current proposal to just like leave the SPS boost in so that there's still like some competitive nature to it. But like, yeah, ultimately it's about not suppressing the guilds below you.
Just adding a bit to that, I'm not exactly sure if it would be enough to incentivize the guilds to get back to tier 5, as we have, I think, 7 guilds now that can play tier 5, and even without the top 3 bonus, it might not be worth it for everyone. So that's why I wanted to also have the change to the formula, but it's certainly a step in the right direction, and I'm sure we'd at least give it a try, have a brawl or two, and then see if everybody stays in tier 5 or not. There's another problem when we'll be 11 guilds for tier 5 someday. That's why I wanted to change the way not filled frays are handled, and also always have the full reward for every guild, no matter how many guilds are in the current fray. But yeah, that's the part that Cryptomancer will have to code, so that's for further down the line.
Yeah, definitely
So,
agree.
so my thoughts then, I am now conflicted because Khazrak, you are currently voting for the active proposal, which is what Clay submitted. At the same time, you are making this other proposal. So in that case, I am conflicted what to do. Like, do we want to pass this proposal, the current active proposal, as a stopgap mechanism, and then work on your version of the proposal in future? Is that what you are saying, or is that what Clay is saying?
I mean, I would be okay with doing it that way. So I started working on my proposal before the proposal by Schach Oberhessen was put up, but I've been on vacation and ill afterwards, so yeah, it's been a few weeks in between. But yeah, I mean, if the proposal by Schach Oberhessen would fail, I would propose mine, which would have the same or mostly the same first steps, and then it would be implemented in 2 or 3 steps.
Yeah, so I think that's the basic difference here, Azurkhan. It's like in general, like we were all part of the same conversation, and I don't know exactly what the reason was, but Kazarek kind of fell out for a bit, and that's whenever I think we decided that we should run it in pieces. And like in general, like we're all in agreement that Kazarek's like ultimate like proposal here is the way to go. We're just like, it's my opinion that and this is something that I've said about many proposals. The more things you pile into a proposal, the more reasons there are for people to vote against it. Like I would,
Yes.
it's to the extent that I would literally rather run a single proposal for every single issue, and then try to like combine everything. And I know that not everybody likes that, but it's just like I said, like you can look at the current discussion that Jimmy's got going on about trying to bring back using merits for the guild stones, right? Like I think it had like, I mean, it was like unanimous. Like everybody was like, yes, like this is so obvious, bring it back. And then it's like, okay, well, let's also adjust the price of the deck for the stones too to make them competitive with the merits. And all of a sudden now it's like World War III in there. It's just like if you'd have just ran the one thing you wanted and then tried to readdress the second issue later, I think you would have got much more support. But like the main issue with Kazarek's proposal, like as is I feel like if we run it together, not only is that an issue, but we're also looking at potentially delaying some of like the meaningful short-term impact, just because like I said, it may take who knows, it may take Cryptomancer until like April or later to get these like these more comprehensive changes, because we don't know what the team's going to have him working on, right? Like we don't know Matt's just going to green light, okay, go back and rework brawls. So if we can get like some short-term economic changes that will hopefully, if nothing else, like incentivize guilds to move up to tier 5 and move up to tier 4, then like it's a decent like stopgap. It's not comprehensive. It's not everything we want, but it's kind of like it's a lot of it, if that makes sense.
Okay, so I tagged a few people. As of this morning, I did not vote on this proposal because I did not have a strong feeling either way. And I saw it was passing, so I wasn't really worried about it. But then this morning, Brave and Lewis pinged me about this and forwarded me Kazrak's proposal, which I wasn't aware until this morning. So I read it, and as we all generally agree, it is clearly better, but implementation could be an issue, at least in the next 4 5 months, let's say conservatively. So in that case, either we keep our current scenario, which is we all agree is not good, or we do something about it and implement something immediately and wait for this better implementation in 5 to 6 months time. So that's what you were summarizing. Did I say that right?
Yeah, to me, it's just how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time, right? Like, I get that we want, like, I really do. I think that like we're all on the same page as far as what we want here, and like ultimately, it's Kazarek's proposal. I just think like the current disagreement is, do we run it all at once? And it's like if we can, like I said, if we can take care of a large chunk of the economic problems that are being caused, um, yeah, like obviously, like we can do more. I do think that counting empty praise is important. Maybe we need to adjust. Maybe we need to like further adjust like how rewards are distributed. But to me, it's like what can we get done quickly without a lot of dev work while we figure out the rest of it, or figure out like making proposals for the rest of it. And like I said, it's not everybody's favorite approach. It tends to be my default approach to get like what can we get done quickly, and what can we get done with hopefully like less contention.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like why I approach things like this. I get that like people are like, don't do band-aid solutions, get like a one and done fix, and I'm like, like look at the situation with tournaments right now, right? Like I've been gathering feedback and trying to figure out how to approach the tournament problem for probably a month now, and I think I'm getting close. But like even this, like even whenever I go to run that proposal, I'm I'm skeptical of whether or not I can get it to pass, because I feel like it's going to be a lot to put into one proposal.
Yeah. So agree 100%. So right now I'm looking at the proposal, and I see this sorry, changing topic, looking at the tournaments as you just pointed out, and I see these alpha gold foil alpha tournament on 280 or 1218. 1218 is giving away 1000 $1,000 in prizes, and it has 9 players in it, and we all know the alpha cards. Most of the alpha cards are already on land. So why are we giving away $1,000 prizes on a tournament 3 days from now? I mean, do we need to have it?
We are basically just following the status quo of how we've been running tournaments for the last. Yeah, I think the
Yeah.
last time they had like any like serious rework was whenever Weird Beard I think took a whole lot of feedback from the community. And like I said, I mean I think taking feedback is good, but ultimately like I think everybody here, everybody involved in the SPS DAO at this point knows like it's the DAO footing the bill for these tournaments, and it's ultimately this is why I'm so adamant that we need a DAO vote on how we want to apportion these things, because I think ultimately it's DAO stake that has to make this decision. It shouldn't just be a
Yeah,
popularity contest, because this is
absolutely.
not a popularity democracy. This is a stake weighted voting.
So on that ground, then, what I am saying is you are already working on the tournament proposal, and there is a conversation going on. So I'm saying right now, though, it is you who put these tournaments together, right? Is there a reason to have this tournament that Alpha Gold Foil one on the December 18th? And that only one tournament I'm talking about. Is there any reason to have that and give away those $1,000?
So my mentality is, and this is kind of like how I approached this from the beginning. I'm not gonna change anything with tournaments. Like I'm basically just gonna continue doing what we've been doing while we get a vote together. Now, like I said, it's been since I want to say like the last like week. This has pretty much been my main focus is like getting tournaments hammered out. Like I'm working on spreadsheets. I've been working on getting uh, like making sure like auditing the actual amount of rewards that we're going to be giving out to make sure they match the white paper. But yeah, like my plan is to get a vote out on this like ASAP, because I'd really like to basically do a clean start in January, or as close to like early in January as we can with a new format if we can get it passed. Now, here's the other question. If I can't get a proposal passed, what else do I do but just continue to do what we've been doing? Like I said, even if I don't agree with it, this is basically the standard that we've set, and I don't personally believe I have the authority to just say we're not going to have tournaments until we get a proposal. Like I mean that's what I would like to do. You know, like definitely like put the fire under people to get a proposal together, work together, and come to some kind of consensus. But you know, again, like I feel like that's taking things a bit further than the authority that I've been given, right? Like I'm a project manager, I'm not
Okay.
like the
So,
decider.
right. So let me help you with that then. Then maybe there is a very simple proposal we can write, and it is a one sentence proposal. Until the tournament restructuring is not finalized, stop the, really expensive gold foil alpha tournaments. That's the proposal. That's a two line proposal, and we can formulate it right now and put it to vote and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I also think that like, you know, I can probably have the other proposal ready to go in the next couple of days. So I mean,
Okay,
it's
well
kind of
then
like,
that's that.
yeah, I mean, it seems like it's almost redundant, because by the time we'd get
Okay,
the proposal passed, I mean, you know, we would already be
okay,
voting on the next one. Like I said,
all right.
the main thing that everybody could do right now to help me is go to that thread that I linked above. Give me your feedback on how you want these prizes structured, so that I can actually like build out examples of what I'm doing whenever I make the community proposal. Like I said, we've had this thread open for probably at least a month now, if not longer. We've had a lot of discussions. I've broken down in detail like my problem with the gold foil alpha tournaments, and like it's annoying because I know that there are people that legitimately play them. Like all two or three of you, like I get that this is a problem for you personally, but like for everybody else, it's just like it's hard for me to like justify in any way that this is a competitive tournament, that this is anything other than just like a tax going to like old cards, right? And like I get that we want to protect the value of the old cards. Like I'm just trying to figure out like how do we do this to where it makes any kind of sense, right? And like the current structure we have with tournaments, it encourages people to basically split cards among multiple accounts and run multiple accounts through these tournaments just because it's literally free money, right? Like if you can win one match, you get free money. Like I don't know how else to put it.
Yes.
And
And
yeah,
people have been doing that for years.
literally this is like
Yes.
this issue alone is the reason I personally quit playing tournaments as an employee. Like I was going to the team and I'm like, look, like this is horrible. Like this is horrible optics. Like why are we doing this? And it's like that's how tournaments are. Like we have to have the old like gold foil alpha tournaments, and we have to I'm just like, man, we got to do better, and like I said, it aggravated me enough that I quit playing tournaments because I felt like it wasn't right. Like, it's not like I don't feel like I can win money in tournaments. Like, I feel like I can,
All
like,
right.
hell, like, I'm sitting at the top. I beat Azercon the other day. Do you guys understand? Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can
Well,
win tournaments.
I totally you can. Okay, all right. So I think we talked about this enough. So I think we are all in agreement. You are going to forward whatever form that spreadsheet kind of lands. Right now I think it's in a pretty good form, and forward it, and let's vote on it. So, and that's the way. If we have waited, 3 years, 4 years, we can wait, 3 more weeks. So that's all right by me. So I think that's a good thing, and let's get it done.
Okay, look, I just dropped the link to the poll that I'm taking right now, guys. It looks clearly the majority of people seem to be in favor of getting away from this like everybody gets their entry fee back, everybody gets a consolation prize mentality. And look, like I'm telling you guys, like from the beginning, I've thought that was kind of like a weird approach. Like I get that. Look, and like I want to be clear. Like there's nothing like these tournaments don't need to profit. They don't need to make money. It's nothing to do with that. It's just I don't. I personally don't believe we had the player base to justify paying out to 256 prizes in a lot of these tournaments. I think like what we're doing is we're literally encouraging bad behavior under the like some like misguided notion that we're getting tournament entries up. Like I think if you go and like you actually assess these tournaments and like you actually like look at what's happening in actuality, it's a lot more of people trying to game them just because it's like literally it's a free shot at money, right? Like if I can go into one of these tournaments and I can run 20 accounts with like one summoner and a couple of cards, all I need to do is get one draw or I need to win one match and I get my money back or I profit. So it's like at
Okay,
scale,
so
it's just extraction.
I guess you want us to vote number C, option C. Is that right?
Well, like that's my personal preference, but
Okay,
again,
all
like
right. I
I'm,
did. I did option C.
yeah, like I mean, I look,
I
look,
did
like
option C.
personally, like if I'm gonna join a tournament, right? Like if I'm gonna join a tournament, I want to win something, right? Like I'm not looking to just like have a free, like, do you know how much time it takes to do these tournaments? Like if you're legitimately playing them, like it's not an insignificant amount of your time. Like you're probably spending 30 minutes to an hour, like bare minimum, and that's if you're playing one wave. So I'm talking like if you're going in and legitimately playing. So like why do I want to waste an hour of my life to basically break even? Like I mean that's just my mentality. I've never understood that. Now I mean I get like if you're just playing for fun, you're playing for fun, but like we can do that in ranked, can't we? But yeah, anyway, like I said, like my thoughts on this aren't necessarily as relevant. Like, I'm gonna build the tournaments that you guys want, but yes, please go participate in the poll. Tell me what you want so that I can create some kind of mock-ups to put in a proposal, and then I'll run the proposals. But as is, it would basically still be the same. It would be 4 tournaments a day is what I'm aiming for. I would have, like, basically the wild tournaments are gonna be, um, I want to say, like, you'd have to, like, Azarkhan dropped the sheet above, but I think it's 4 of each of just like the regular and the gold foil. This sheet that he shared is a 2 week cycle. That's the way that the tournaments are set up, is that they run for 2 weeks and then they repeat. But yeah, in general, I think we can do a lot better. And my goal is to get the proposal. I tell you what, if you guys give me some feedback and tell me what you want for the prize structure, I will do my best to have a proposal out this weekend. I think I can do that. You think that's fast enough, Azarkhan?
Yeah, that's good. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, Kazrak, are you still here? Are you involved in the tournament scene at all?
I'm still here, yeah. I'd be fine with C. I think it's a pretty good change. I always found it strange that I can go like 2-9 in the tournament and still get my money back. So I do want to be more competitive as well. So yeah, I'd support it.
You know, just look, Jazz, just for the record, right? Like, let's say we try this for a month or two, and you guys are unhappy. Like, it's nothing to say that I can't just go back and make another proposal to change it to option B or option A. Okay? Like, I'm not one of those people that's like, once it's done, don't bring it up again. Like, to me, I think we can vote on issues multiple times. We can change our position multiple times. Like, it's the DAO. Like, the will of the DAO will change and evolve over time. I'm not here to tell you how we have to do things. I'm not here to tell you that, like, the way that I see things is the only way things have to be. I'm just here to share my opinion and help facilitate the will of the DAO. I try to be impartial on a lot of the things, but whenever I see things that are clearly just exploiting the inflation of the DAO, I mean, I have to call it out. Like, I think it's the only responsible thing for me to do. If I see something that's a problem and it's just like a major leak in our inflation, it would be really negligent of me to not point it out and say we can do better. So hopefully you guys understand.
Clay,
like, yeah.
sorry to interrupt, but I think Mr. Rogers have his hand raised.
Okay, let me see. Yeah, so like basically whenever I'm doing a streaming, I have to mute Discord, and so like I don't get the notifications because I'm streaming to
Yeah.
YouTube. Let me see.
Mr. Rogers, are you still there? I think you have to lower your hand and raise it again, otherwise it doesn't work. Yep.
Okay, I think there he is. Welcome, Mr.
There he
Rogers. Is it a
Hey.
beautiful day in the neighborhood?
It really is. Thank you for having me. You may have answered this already, and I'm sorry, I got here a little late. This is about the brawl proposal and then Kazarak's proposal as well. You were talking about the complexity of Kazarak's proposal and how it couldn't be implemented quickly because it required Mansur to do a lot of additional coding work. I was curious just on the first bullet point of Kazarak's proposal. If you go down to the TLDR, his first bullet point is remove the top 3 bonus, which is half of Shakober-Hessen's proposal. Say we just pass Kazarak's. Would there be a delay on removing the top 3 bonus because it's part of a bigger comprehensive piece? Or would that be something that could be done fairly quickly, as in the case with the proposal that's put up now?
So that was my concern, right? And like that's the exact reason why I decided, like I made that call that we should split it out. I was like, I don't know. Look, you guys got to remember, like I worked with this team for like the last 2+ years. I feel like if we put out the comprehensive proposal, there's a strong chance we don't see anything done until it's all done. And that's the main reason why I was like, I brought Mansur in, I got his opinion on it. I was like, I've done this with like multiple proposals actually, because like if you guys notice, we've had we've had quite a few proposals. I think we're on number 8 now. And like what I'll generally do is I'll bring in one of the team members, I'll bring in one of the devs, and I'll try to get like some kind of like general idea of what the scope of what we're trying to do is as far as like dev work goes. And if I can get something simple that is impactful, I go for that like pretty much 100% of the time. I think like what we'll probably see is in January we'll start seeing like a lot of those like little fixes that we all had proposals on probably get implemented in short order because they're just small ask, right? Like changing the leaderboards from deck to rebellion packs. I I actually think that probably could have already been done, but I do appreciate Matt's stance, right? Like the team has been in crunch mode for a while, and giving them a break for the holidays here at the end of the year is important. But yeah, like, dude, trust me, in January I plan on just like being, like on top of people, like, hey, what are we doing? Can we get this, like, let's get things done. But yeah, so my answer was basically like what we're asking for as far as like counting empty phrase and things like that are going to be a much more involved change. And if we're starting to talk about like changing reward curves too, yeah, like this is not insignificant things. Like that's gonna actually probably require Matt getting involved because Matt's like the big economic guy. If we're going so far as changing reward curves and things like that, yeah, like we're talking about like serious dev work, and yeah, like he's point blank said that the way he designed brawls did not like have any way to account for empty phrase, so it would require basically like a rebuild, or maybe not like 100% rebuild, but it's not like an insignificant amount of dev work. So that's why like I look at this as what can we get done in short order? Like what can we push as like priority issues, and then can we go back and get the more comprehensive reform whenever we have more resources to put towards it.
Right. So if
I
I'm
mean,
hearing you,
since we are just... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh yeah, sorry, no worries. So yeah, just so if I'm hearing you right, if there's a simple piece that starts off a very complicated proposal, that simple piece is going to wait until all the complicated pieces get done too.
I can't promise you that's what's going to happen.
More than
but like
likely,
in general, that's how I feel like the team works.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. I just wasn't sure. That's awesome. Thanks, Clay.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that. I mean, maybe we could talk to the team about that part. I mean, if other people see it another way, it's okay. But like I said, to me, I do like to know where we're heading. So I understand that's important to have one step after the other. So we can't have everything right now. And that's not what I'm asking for either. But my issue with a lot of these recent proposals is that they are very vague and they just have like a general idea of what's going to happen, but not an idea of where we are going in the end. It's the main reason I put up the proposal in the way I did. So I don't know, maybe we can or could talk to Cryptomancer Matt for the future about that part. I mean, they could still just implement what's easy to implement right away, put the rest on a roadmap for some time later, and then get to it when it's time.
Yeah, I mean, if the current proposal fails, like I don't think we're done with this issue. I can tell you that. So like if the current proposal fails and we go for the comprehensive, it would definitely be my biggest ask that we don't put off the little things for the like the bigger issues. Like I said, that was one of my concerns, and that's one of the reasons that. And I still feel like the more different pieces you put into a proposal is more reasons for it to fail. So yeah, like in general, like I'm always gonna favor, like let's say we have like one complex issue that needs 5 different pieces to change it. In my mind, it's always going to be you have 5 votes. And now I get that some people are like, well, I don't want part A without part B. And I'm like, okay, but like, whenever you take that mentality, you got to consider that there's people that will never vote for part A. There's people that will never vote for part B, right? So whenever you run A and B together, you're basically doubling, or like there's some increased percentage of people that will never vote for your proposal. And I think that's one of the things that I'm just trying to like get across to people. And like we've literally seen this play out, right? It's like people will be like, "Well, I agree with everything with this one part, so I'm not going to support it." And you know, like the problem is whenever there's multiple parts, there's multiple reasons for people to have that same mentality. You know?
Yeah, no, it's okay. I mean, let's do it that way. If I can have one ask, maybe if there are major stuff or major things we want to change, I mean, we can still do separate votes, but maybe we can have like a vision or something so that we still discuss a bit where we want to go with it in the end, just to add a bit of perspective to it.
Yeah, and look, like I said, man, I think we're all in agreement that like basically what you're going for is where we're going. You know, I think that's the overall vision. Yeah, I don't think anybody that was involved in that conversation wants like to not continue down that that same path, right? Like that's where we want to go. I think the biggest problem is just do we do it all? Like, do we say it's all or nothing? And then, like, to me, like, there's also the question of if we take that all or nothing approach, are we really willing to sacrifice, like, the reform of the top three bonus? Are we really willing to, like, sacrifice the, you know, like, the removing the restrictions on tier 5 because we can't get, you know, like, the empty phrase counted? Like to me, that was the main thing. It's like, you know, it's like we're going for ice cream, and you're like, here, you can have chocolate and vanilla ice cream, but you can't have your sprinkles till later. You know, it's like, am I going to not take my ice cream because I can't have the sprinkles now? You know, it's just like, I don't know, it seems like a weird way to approach it, right? It's like, there's nothing about this that I don't want, but I'm going to not take it because I can't have everything I want. You know, and that's why I'm kind of like, I just don't really get the approach of, I'm going to not go for one because I want more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get you. It's I mean, I probably come from a different place. I'm IT manager in the legacy world, so I always want to know where we're heading. If somebody comes up with one small piece, I tell him to get back and iterate on it until I see where he wants to go with it. But yeah, I mean, the DAO is something completely different, obviously, so I'll trust you with that.
Yeah, man, like I can tell you this, I think we're all going to be figuring out exactly how this all works for a while, right? Like I don't pretend to have like some comprehensive knowledge of how this DAO should be running. You know, I think we're all figuring it out. I mean, keep in mind, like whenever I applied for this, I mean, like it was one of the things that like Matt was like pretty adamant about. Is like we don't even know what this job's going to entail. Like it's going to kind of be like figuring it out as we go. And you know, like the best I could do is give a lot of examples of what I can do. You know, and like I can tell you right now, like some of the things that I thought I would be doing, I haven't done yet. Like I've been negotiating with a market maker a little bit. I kind of thought you guys would want me, you know, handling some exchange listing stuff, but like, color me surprised. I'm still kind of shocked that like most people don't really care about exchange listings because I thought that was one of the things that you guys are gonna really want me like on top of. But yeah, so far I've been doing a lot of you know, like economic reform stuff, and like ironically, this just happens to be one of my favorite things to do. And like yeah, I don't know how much to say. Like let's just say that whenever I was working for the team, there were some things that I did that were like basically designing game economies and getting to like kind of like wrap my mind around things and you know like all these moving pieces. Like Splinterlands is definitely Matt's baby, but like I still look at pieces of it and I'm like, I think we could tweak some things here. And you know, like if the DAO agrees, then we'll move forward. But yeah, like man, there's so many moving pieces to this economy. It's pretty mind blowing. It makes me think of like whenever I used to play I used to play World of Warcraft back in the early days, like probably like '04 to like maybe like '09 or so. I was pretty heavy into it, and like my favorite thing to do whenever I was playing World of Warcraft was I would just go in and I would essentially try to like take over like an entire auction house on a server. And like getting to see like all the ways like the little different pieces of the economy work together, and how like basically like getting a monopoly on a resource allows you to control the production of another resource. Like all these different things, getting to see the different moving pieces of the economy, it just like really fascinates me. And yeah, so I've been enjoying getting to work on a lot of this kind of stuff. But yeah, man, like if I'm here to serve basically. So like what I need from you guys is tell me what you want me working on, and like that's what I'll do. And so far it seems like building socials, hosting the down halls, and then working on a lot of these like smaller issues seems to be what people want me working on, and like I'm fine doing that. But yeah, like I said, it seems like like the things that I thought I would be working on were less what people wanted, and like that's fine. Like
So,
yeah, it'll grow
hey,
and evolve.
Clay, there is no reason to be surprised. People are right now really worried about centralized exchanges, right? I mean, what's the point of listing in an exchange when the next day the exchange goes out of business? You essentially wasted the money.
Hey,
That's most
hey,
people's view.
look, Azurkine, you're preaching to the choir on this one. Like I can tell you guys,
Yeah.
I try to be as neutral as I can on this topic, but like I think I've been pretty clear. Like I don't use them. I won't use them. Like I personally refuse. Like I don't agree
Yeah.
with like the business model. I don't agree with the tactics that they use. I like to me the worst thing is whenever I can't even tell you guys the terms of the deal. Like that frustrates me to no end. To like be able to have to come to you guys and say, hey, if you want me to make this thing happen, I'm gonna need you to allocate like X amount of dollars, and then just trust me, bro. Like that's not how I operate. But if you guys want to get in bed with these centralized exchanges, that's something that you're gonna have to accept, because I will never. Dude, I have not dealt with one centralized exchange that will even let me tell you that I'm talking to them. You understand? Like they are all they yeah, screw it. Like I'll just tell you, like they have NDAs that won't even let me disclose that I'm under an NDA. So I mean, I think I can say that if I don't tell you who I'm talking about. But yeah, like they're all like that. Like it's just it's frustrating, man. Especially whenever you want to be transparent with something like a DAO. It's yeah. I mean, like there's no like legal way for me to just share terms to these deals, and I think that by its own inherent nature is kind of shady. That's actually one of the reasons why I was really happy whenever I found Flowdesk for market making. Like they're fine with me sharing the terms. Like they've actually done an AMA where they came on Twitter to talk directly to our community. So like that's rare in this industry, especially dealing with market makers and exchanges. I hope you guys understand how rare that is.
It's all good. All good. So I just, I don't sell cards and stuff, but I have so many of this Grimbardun Smith. So I list one max card for sale, and it got sold, as we were talking. So
Dude,
somebody paid $400 for it.
you're gonna regret that, Azurkan. Like I'm
Yeah,
telling you
I
right now,
have
mark my
1,000
words.
of them.
Dude,
Uh,
I actually called this before the set came out. I said, watch, I promise you
yeah,
Grimberdoon Smith is gonna be like the Dr. Blight of this set. He is going to be he's
absolutely
only a
agree.
rare card. He's a rare card. He's not even
Absolutely.
legendary, but he's the one. I'm telling you. Like it was just obvious from the get go to me.
Yeah, obviously agree. So, but as you know, Clay, I just have way too many of them. So, I thought, okay, well, maybe I distribute a little bit. So, since I bought so many packs, I actually I saved this screenshot. So I had 1,100 BCX of Grimbarun Smith regular. And since I cannot stake this in land, I already have several max copy distributed to the scholars. What else I'm going to do with it, right? So I can clearly sell it at a higher price later on, which I probably will do. But still, there is a lot of it. So that's like 9 cards,
Y-
9 max cards that I can sell.
as a I know it's gonna like wear on you carrying around all those extra dwarves there. I mean, if you need some help, like I mean, I will lend a hand, brother. I got you.
Yeah, I know, I know. I send a few to a few of the people that are well deserved. BJ is one of them. Is it BJ or is it Hep? I mean, I forget which one. I send a few. But yeah, so but it's just I was trying things and see if these things even sells. So apparently it does sell. So that's good.
Yeah, man. Like I said, dude, and like I knew he was gonna be like an absolute like just unit before they upgraded weapons training, man. But like whenever they upgraded weapons training, dude, like the ways I figured out how to use that card, like dude, I'll put him as like my anchor, and then I'll use something
Yeah.
like one of like the magic, like one of like either the magic or I'll use him as Zerial, and like basically I'll turn him into an archer, I'll turn him into a mage, and then like all the sneak units are just like smacking into him like what I can't do anything. Dude, I love that card so much, and the fact that people want to nerf just tells me I was even more right. Like, dude, like he's the
Yeah.
one. I'm telling you, he's the
And
card that's gonna be like iconic in this
exactly.
whole set.
I do not want him nerf and do not listen to Luis at all. So Luis always complains. Any good card that I defeat him with, he complains. So so
No,
no, I want Rebellion set to be overpowered. That's the whole goal. So that the new set needs to be overpowered, so people buy new set, and that's how we pay the team. The team needs revenue, so it's our best interest to have the new set overpowered.
and I tell you what, like if we can get this if we can get the tournament rework proposal passed, I might have to start playing again, guys. Like I can tell you, like I enjoyed Chaos Legion for what it was, but yeah, like this is the first time like I find myself like actually wanting to just play another match in a long time, and yeah, man, like these new
So
combos,
in
these
that
new
case,
abilities, yeah.
one proposal we need to think about pretty soon is this ECR, at least in the modern, right? So ECR was introduced to deter bots. But modern is now bot free, at least in theory, to the best of our knowledge. So there is no reason to have that high an ECR uh, in modern because, like you said, you want to play and play, but the max you can play is 50 games and then you are out, right? So we are hurting ourselves if we keep an ECR in place.
Well, so the problem is like whenever we were actually using ECR, like there was like no hard number, right? Like you could just play until you ran out of energy. Right now that we have like these energy rates, um, yeah, yeah, it's definitely complicated, right? Because
Yeah.
we essentially
Yes.
like you have to look at it both ways, right? Like if you don't have like a gate, you're essentially saying like everybody has to play the same amount. Whereas like with the way it's gated right now, it's like you pretty much like you have to play your 24 battles a day, or you're basically wasting your energy. But you can also burn deck to play more. Um, I would say if we need anything right now as far as ranked goes, I would say the biggest thing we probably need is a rework of the ELO system. Um, I don't think Matt sees it that way. I think Matt kind of like just thinks it's fine the way it is, and I don't know. So far, I haven't seen anybody come up with anything better. Like one of the best suggestions I saw was people were kind of like suggesting maybe we should do it like sort of like Hearthstone does, where you do like the star system, where instead of like doing the whole like +3, +10, -30 thing, we would just have stars where you like you go up a star, you go up a star, you get a win streak, maybe you go up 2 stars, and then whenever you lose, you drop a star. Um, I don't know if that's the solution, but to me, I think that's one thing that I would love for us to figure out a way to rework that actually makes sense. Yeah, as far as like the whole energy thing goes, if you guys want to start like some kind of discussion on it, like I'm all for that. But yeah, like as far as like the way the energy works, do you have a better solution, Azurcon, or do you just not like the way it is? Because I think like
Well,
maybe is there something better? Maybe, but like what is it?
well, one of the comment somebody made, it is a DSC sync, so that I have to agree on that. So it is a DSC sync. If you want to play more and still get rewarded, you buy ECR. So that's definitely good for the ecosystem. But I guess the question remains, what is the right balance? Right, so at it's 50,000 DC, right, for the champions level, which is where I play. I mean, it's lower in the lower leagues. So I guess you can argue that it's not that much in bronze or in silver, but it is definitely expensive in champions. So the question we need to ask ourselves, okay, we can keep the ACR, but we can deal with it in two angles. We need to be 50 max, so that is one way of. So 50 is a magic number, right? We came up with that number. It doesn't have to be 50, it can be 70, it can be 60, or some other number. That's one.
Five,
And
five.
second
You get
is,
5 battles a day, Azurcon, and after that, we want some daytime.
right. Yeah. And then the other thing is the 50,000 deck. I mean, do we need that, or can we live with something else? So, this is not something that is on the top of my priority. I think the amount of game I can actually play is 50 is probably enough. But I was just trying to reciprocate your comments that you just want to play more and more, and you run out of ECR pretty quick. So, how
Um,
do we mitigate that?
Yeah, I'll tell you, like, one of the problems I have right now is I rarely have time to play. Like, I'm sitting on full a lot, but, like, whenever I do actually get time to play, I finished in Champ 2 this season, so, like, I'm still getting my battles in a lot. But yeah, like there's definitely days where I'm just sitting on full energy and don't have time to play, so, I mean, I can see it both ways. I get that, like, the bigger we make that number, the basically like the bigger time investment we're expecting. And again, like we've done a lot to get rid of bots, so you also have to consider that there's people that are like, I don't have the time to spend 2 or 3 hours a day playing ranked. Like, and now they're like, and now you won't let me run a bot. Um, it's like I try to look at things from multiple angles, but also like my mentality still remains like you don't build a game for people that don't want to play it. So I think it's a good indication that we actually have something that's like let's play it, let's play it, let's play it, right? And yeah, I mean I think it's a good sign that we're moving in the right direction. I'm curious to see what the next wave of rewards cards are going to look like. Like, is there going to be like, hey, like if people are thinking Grimberdoon Smith is a little OP, who knows? Maybe Matt's going to introduce a card that breaks immunity. Like, what if there's an ability like Affliction that breaks immunity? I mean, like this is historically his approach. Like if something feels too strong, create a new way to combat it. And who knows, man? Like we'll see. Um, I'm definitely, like I said, I'm really enjoying getting to explore all these crazy new combos. Like, dude, weapon training has like now become one of my favorite things to do. Man, I really hope that they can figure out something to make recharge like a decent ability. But who knows? Maybe recharge just goes the way of the dinosaurs, and we don't see it in new sets. But yeah, like I still think recharge is probably the weakest ability in the game. I think that there's the only card that I kind of use it on sometimes is the shaman. Like I can't remember what the green card that's like 8 mana that has it. But yeah, other than that, like that's I think
Swedish
that's
Shaman.
yeah, I think that's the only card I ever use that has recharge. And now that we have Rebellion, I don't even get to use him very much. But yeah,
Well, I do use the recharge cards when it's back to basic, because then they are sometimes useful, but yeah, about it.
dude, like that should tell you right there. Whenever back to basics buffs your card, like something's probably wrong. But yeah. Dude, trust me. Like,
Yep.
I have not liked recharge since day one. It's been like internally, it was like always the one that like, man, like I hate this ability. Like, we need to do something. We need to change it. I don't know if it'll ever happen. I mean, I think the fact that like Chaos Legion is now like the previous set, and we're focused on Rebellion now. Who knows, man? Like maybe it's not the only one. Maybe we'll have multiple abilities that just kind of like phase out after a set. Who knows? But like, I would be shocked if we see like a new wave of like a new wave of Rebellion rewards cards come out, and like they have like recharge as like a like a focus. Like that would probably shock me more than anything at this point.
Yeah, I don't see it coming either. But let me just get back to the energy part real quick. I don't know if you guys know Parallel. It's another TCG. It's Web 3 or Web 2.5 or whatever. But they do have a pretty interesting concept. So you can basically play as many games as you want a day, but only your best 5 games give you actual rewards. So once you won 5 games, you are basically done for the day, but you can still keep playing, and there are win streak bonuses and bonuses if you play a certain shard in something. So if you keep playing, you can increase your earnings a bit, maybe. But other than that, you are basically done after 5 games. Now, 5 games is not enough for Splinterlands, I'd say, but it could be an interesting solution to explore. So like you have the best, I don't know, 10 wins or something, give you rewards, and then after that, you can only replace your worst reward. And yeah, build like that maybe.
Like, so I'll tell you, like, the first thing that always goes to my mind is like, how would I exploit this? Because like that's kind of like the mentality I have to get into whenever I look at like anything with the Splinterlands economy, because that's unfortunately how most people approach it, right? So like let's say we try to do something comparable with Splinterlands. Like let's say like your top 25, like your biggest wins are what's going to count for rewards a day. So I feel like what you're going to see is a resurgence of automated play where you just have people playing constantly, and it's just going to like be min-maxing for, like, I know we want to get rid of bots, and I know we like to, it is what it is. I think that there's still some leaking through, and I do think that the team's monitoring it and like working on it. Like we saw them knock out a bot farm of like 50,000 accounts that were basically just destroying brawls. They had my understanding. I didn't get like all the details because I'm no longer on the team, but my understanding is they had like 50,000 accounts that were just playing in like the lowest tier brawls and just farming up whatever the minimum rewards are with like no investment. And yeah, so like anytime we think of like ways to creatively approach stuff like that, I just think of like that's the first thing that goes through my mind is like, if I was running a bot farm, how would I exploit this? And yeah, I can imagine what you'd see, especially like in Wild, is you're gonna see like a ton of accounts just like flooding as many battles as they can, which impacts the servers negatively because everything we do is on chain. There's no Web 2 with like with like a tokenomics layer slapped on top. Like it's all on chain, like all of our battles. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if that would be like a perfect solution for Splinterlands, but I mean, I don't think that means we can't do something better. You know, like maybe it's a good starting point to try to think of like how can we do something better.
In the end, it's always coming back to bots abusing the system, I guess.
Man, I'm curious to see if Bronco's proposal has some meaningful impact. Let's just put it like that. And you know what? Hey, I think it's an interesting way to approach the problem, right? Like, you know, a TOS ban is is nice and all, but like ultimately, it's up to whether or not the team has the resources to enforce it. Which, hey, like I said, they've knocked out a big chunk of them, so like clearly they're watching, clearly they're paying attention. Um, you know, so hopefully like that continues. But you know, with Bronco's proposal, it was more of like a a return to form as far as things like collection power and stuff goes. So you know, I was like, I'll tell you, I'm kind of surprised that one passed because it definitely feels like going backwards in some ways. But you know, if that's what we have to do to like you know this is one of the things that I think people don't understand whenever we talk about bot farms, right? Like we're not talking about people that have a lot of cards that spread them out and like make like 100 bronze decks here. Like what we're talking about is people that are running tens of thousands of accounts. What they do is they rent the bare minimum, like whatever the minimum cost is, right? Like to rent, they'll get just enough cards to play. Then they'll basically flood all the cards into bronze or silver together, and they'll have like I'm like here's my current guess. I think that there's probably at least 30,000 more bot accounts. Like that's my best guess. But basically, what they'll do is they'll, like I said, they'll rent the bare minimum, so they have like the minimum viable collection to play, and then they'll just run these accounts into each other for rating inflation and to just farm whatever rewards they can. It's like the last time I looked at the numbers, I think it takes them less than 2 weeks to break even out of a month. So it's like you know, if they can rent you know whatever like really cheap for like a 30-day rental, then yeah, basically after 2 weeks like they've got their it's just free ROI at that point. And yeah, like it's an exploit. You know, I don't know how else to look at it. You know, are they operating within the bounds of what's allowed in the game? Yeah. Should we allow it? I mean, I don't think so. But you know, here we are. Like this is the system that's been built, and it takes us to basically create this effective change, right? Like you know, you guys got to remember, like the team did not care about bots for the longest time. Like they were completely fine with leaving them. The only reason bots got any kind of like slap on the wrist at all is because we pushed it through a DAO vote. So you know, guys, don't ever doubt that our DAO actually has meaningful change in this game. Because when I'm telling you, like we actively went against both of the founders with that proposal, and they enforced it. Like they updated the TOS to their game to honor it. Like you know, I think that they're serious, that they're willing to listen to what we have to say, but also, like, I think it's a good indicator that this DAO has a lot of teeth, and you know, we gotta be able to like look at these complicated problems and come to consensus and tell them what we want, and you know, that's one of the reasons why I've been so focused on proposals. You know, I know a lot of people are like, oh, he's just making proposals, and I'm like, you know, I think like one of the things that people don't realize is pretty much every proposal I've made has come from the community, right? Like I'm just taking these ideas that people would previously just discuss and complain about, and I'm turning them into something actionable, and I'm getting proposals made so that we can actually, you know, hopefully change some things, so we don't just have people complaining for like another year or two about the same issues. You know, like here's a prime example. And this is, I would say this is the first proposal, like the outcome actually surprised me. I thought for sure you guys wanted to burn those Nifty decks. like as much pissing and moaning as I heard about those Nifty decks over like the last year plus, however long Ag did it, man, I thought for sure they were getting burnt. And lo and behold, I think it had less than 50% support. So, like, that should tell you guys, right? Like, just don't take everything you hear complaining in Discord as, like, the end-all, be-all of what things are. But you know what? Now we have a vote. Now we saw where stake lays on the matter, so next time somebody complains about the Nifty decks, you can say, okay, well, we see how this last proposal went. Do you want to run another one? Because you can go burn 100,000 deck and try again. You know, I think it's a good indicator to be able to put some of these issues to rest without having to just keep them going as like points of contention in the community.
Yeah, I agree, Clay. And one of the things that you clearly pointed out that this DAO has a lot of teeth, and it's one of the most active DAOs out there, and probably one of the best distribution of stake that is out there. So, and those two, the team was totally agnostic on bot, and we can tell clearly that it was a bad idea. And now we have a better system in place, and we are heading in the right direction. And you can see it in the price of the asset. The asset is increasing in value. The token is increasing in value. The ecosystem never looked this healthy like in the last 3 years, I must say.
You know, as I want to point out something that I find kind of funny too, right? Because like one of the biggest complaints I get when dealing with a lot of DAO stuff is it's just a whale game, right? Look, like this conversation literally started with Azurkhan coming in and telling me the top 3 whales in the game just downvoted a proposal. And you know what? It took it from 80% to 70%. It's literally still passing.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Absolutely.
I find it absurd that people think that like, Azurkhan's like the end all be all, and look, just even if we disagree on things, I don't think it means we have to start like yelling and like cursing at each other and all this stuff. Like, I think people take a lot of this stuff way too personally.
Exactly.
Especially in map chat. Like, I think you have to start from the understanding that on some level, we all want to see this game succeed, right? We're not going to always agree on how to do it. We're not going to always, and look, like even when we do agree, it doesn't necessarily mean we're right. Like sometimes we have to go back and revisit things, but it's just like, I think that this mentality that like we can't create effective change, like my favorite thing to point out about this is like, dude, look at who passed the official, like the bot ban proposal. Dude, some guy like I never even
Exactly.
heard of. I've never even heard of him since.
Yes.
Literally. Like, I've never heard of him since. I looked up his account the other day just to see, like, I think he has, like, $6,000 in assets, and I mean, it's just, like, it's crazy. Like, some guy I had never heard of pops up, creates the bot ban proposal, like, it gets implemented, and, like, it literally started us down this whole road. And, yeah, like, I don't even know if he's still in the community.
No, he is. And the other day, it's actually a very good point because in After Sound stream, I made this exact comment that this virtual nobody actually made a significant change for the game, and we would forever be indebted to this individual. And he actually came to me and said that, he appreciates that I said something like that. So I'm going to I did not ask for it, but I'm going to copy and paste this DM right here so that people can understand and appreciate it, because there is nothing special in this DM. So this is the guy who forwarded the modern bot proposal. So you see the date, that's actually in December. He came in and essentially said thank you to me, and I said thank you. So that's a total testament of how community is together and how we are actually making a positive change. And regarding the downvote of the proposal, you saw, we had a discussion. I did not have a strong feeling about the Brawl proposal at all. This morning, Louis and Brave pinged me and let me know about that Kazrak proposal. So, we had a short discussion and we acted accordingly. But, after this discussion, most likely a lot of these votes will be reversed. And most likely this proposal is, as you said, this proposal is currently passing. So, and it'll probably pass, which would be a good thing. So that's the thought process. That's how discussion work. It's always good to discuss and always good to make your point and your thinking visible.
Yeah, and like I said, to be clear, I think everybody involved in that discussion is pretty much on the same page with Kazrak. Like that's where we want to get to. I think but the biggest question is just like, does it have to be all at once? And I don't know. I've made my case. I still think that, like honestly, like I would still rather split the one that I have up right now into two different proposals. And like I said, that's always going to be my mentality. Keep it simple. Like the simplest proposals we can make, the most mechanically just, like one and done proposals. I think they're always going to be our best bet. But again, like I'm not the end all be all authority. I get that there's some people that like I'm not gonna vote for it unless it's a comprehensive plan, and I'm like okay, but I think that there's just historically there's more traction to go with maybe we have to maybe this is something we have to figure out, right? Like maybe we have like a different way of approaching this, right? Like where we run like let's say we end up with a situation like this again in the future, right? Where like basically we take something like Kazarak's proposal and we split it into 4 different proposals and we just run them all at once. Like maybe that's the way we approach this. Because like I said, I think that we're on the same page that we want this comprehensive like rework of brawls. It's just like I feel like if you shove it all into one proposal, one, it's going to delay the actual getting anything done because I think that that's how the team's going to approach it. Is like we have to knock out this proposal like together, but also I think it gives more points of failure. So then like we also have to consider like let's say we do that. Like let's say we take something like Kazarek's proposal and we run it as 4 separate proposals. What happens if 3 pass and 1 doesn't? Like it's going to be interesting, man. Like I think that over time we'll keep figuring out how to do this better, and we'll keep finding better ways to work together and to keep evolving this ecosystem. But yeah, I mean it's going to take work. It's not just like a magical solution that we can just come up with overnight. But yeah, like I said, my current goal, I'm gonna do my best to like knock it out this weekend. I really want to get the tournament proposal in place because, like I said, I wanted to. My goal is still like start the new year fresh, but I think it's gonna take time. Like I said, if you guys just I haven't had a chance to check obviously because I'm still talking, but if you guys have been able to go back and give me feedback and vote on whether or not how you want that prize structure laid out. I'm gonna do my best to get that one knocked out this weekend.
Right. I think that's a great idea, Clay. And thanks for your services. So we are very thankful that you are here and doing this largely thankless job, honestly. So and what the DAO pays you is clearly not enough. That I was always of that opinion because I wouldn't want your job. So that's just my personal thought, but that's neither here nor there. But anyways, I think I am going to step out. It's nearing lunchtime here in Houston, but feel free to continue and thank you for your time.
Yeah, we still don't have like any like firm expectations of these things. I've been trying to figure out where we want to cut it off, so maybe it's a good time. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Kazarek, or is there anybody in the audience that wanted to I know Silence is very passionate about this league lock thing. Do you want to come on for a few minutes and talk about it, Silence? Like I want to make sure we're giving time to time to the current issues. So I know we've been talking a lot about tournaments and brawls today, but I don't want to downplay the importance of Silence's proposal. Like I said, I haven't really made up my mind on it because I'm still just kind of observing feedback. I think that it's a lot more contentious than I would have thought it was. But if you want to come on and make your argument, Silence, I'll stay on for a little bit longer. Okay. Well, hey, maybe what we'll do is depending on how this goes, I don't know if we get to a place where there's good enough consensus to run it. But look, I do want to encourage you guys, go check out the thread. There's an ongoing discussion. Some people are for it, some people are against it. Yeah, maybe Matt can weigh in, or you can get his opinion on a town hall. But yeah, let me check to make sure nobody else has their hand raised. Let's see. Yeah, looks like nobody else has their hand raised, so I'm gonna probably go ahead and wrap it up. But yeah, guys, I appreciate all of you coming out. I think this is what we have to do to make progress. We just have to work together. We have to be willing to talk these things out. And yeah, so look forward to a proposal for the tournament rework. And so far it's looking like we're going to be going with option C, which I gotta say, it's kind of exciting. Imagine the top 64 places, and you're getting 10 extra entry fee for even getting 64th or something. I mean, obviously I have to run the numbers because I wasn't sure what people would support, but I'm definitely excited to see what it looks like, and I think it would be very fascinating to see some big number wins going on social media where people are like, "Oh my God, I won several $100s for this tournament." I think that kind of stuff is what gets us some attention. But yeah, thanks everybody for coming out. I appreciate you guys, and much love.
Thanks, Clay. Bye.
Thank you, Clay.
Later,
Thank
guys.
you.